Hello, and welcome to Women Finding Clarity. I'm your host, Pascale Cook Fernandez. We're wrapping up the first month of the year, and I want to ask you, how are those New Year's resolutions coming along? Are you still feeling motivated, or have you hit that familiar wall that where life just gets in the way? Here's the thing. Resolutions don't stick because they're focused on external change without addressing what's happening on the inside. When we don't align our goals and our energy, our values, and the way we truly want to feel, it's easy to lose steam. That's where I come in. If you're tired of making promises to yourself that feel like they're just slipping through your fingers, I invite you to book a call with me. Together, we'll create lasting change from the inside out, starting with clarity, alignment, and a deep connection to authentic self. The truth is, success isn't just about what you're doing, it's about who you're being. If you're ready to find clarity, take control of who you're being, and make inspired change, it's time to take inspired action and schedule a clarity coaching session now at www.womenfindingclarity.com or by clicking the link in show notes. Remember, life doesn't come with a roadmap, so let Women Finding Clarity be your compass, where clarity, confidence, and joy are always within reach. Last week, I shared the first half of my conversation with Francine Tirrell, spiritual mindset coach, energy healer, and the powerhouse behind Forever Changed Coaching, LLC. If you haven't already listened to season 5, episode 153, I recommend starting there because Francine is all about guiding women through big ass up levels in their careers and in their personal lives. If you're here and you're ready to hear the rest of our inspired conversation, let's get to it.
It really does start with just awareness and curiosity,
Yeah.
right? Like me with that boss, like, why does she trigger me? Like, what's going on in me that is having that response?
Yeah, so beautiful. And giving yourself the time away from the busyness opens up that energetic space for the awareness.
100%. And I would say my word of the year, I kind of got on the bandwagon a few years ago with having words of the year. My word of the year this year is intentional. And that plays in with me even releasing that last bit of busyness that I have, because I'm really good at getting shit done, but I'm not really good at being intentional with the things that I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
Choosing where I want to show up, choosing what I want to do, and creating space in my calendar. So the one thing I am time blocking more of is a 90-minute lunch break so I can go for a walk or maybe work out or do the things that I want to do versus like, oh shit, there's no lunch on my calendar today. I'm going to be chewing while I talk to Pascal.
Which,
So
by the way, I'm here for it. You want
good
to
to
eat your
know.
salad while we're chit-chatting? I'm down for it. I'm good with that.
Right. But that, like, being
Yeah.
intentional, like creating space, because we often don't create space. And I do think, I'll share, for me, entrepreneurship is fairly new. I've been a coach for 12 years, but only full time since 2020. It's different that, like, I was a leader in a corporate setting, right? I had employees and I had a boss. The boss told me what to do. I told the employees what to do, and I made sure in between everything got done. I remember I got laid off about 8 years ago, and I was like, great, I can coach full time. And I realized real quickly I didn't really like being home alone and having to do, like, oh, I have to do all this shit too? That's a problem. And
Yeah.
when it happened again in 2020, the transition was a little bit easier. Everybody else was home. So it made it different this time. And I often say I manifested the pandemic because my guides in the universe were like, bitch, we need you to do what we need to do. And the only way you're going to do it is if we shut the world down. So yes,
Finally, we have someone to blame.
yeah, it wasn't
Ladies and
China. It
gentlemen,
was all
here
me.
you go.
Yeah. But I've had to learn, like, I do marketing and bookkeeping and sales and all the things, and having to find that balance. And then, so I thought I had to stay busy to get shit done. And I'm like, I've been busy and I'm doing less, I have less clients. What happened? Right?
Yep.
Because I wasn't creating space to actually attract them in.
Yes. Yes. So I love that you're like, oh, my word for the year is intentionality. I this year stopped having a word for the year and I set an intention for the year. And
Nice.
so I do not believe in New Year's resolutions because, again, I think that they are this
They
pie in
set us up to
the
fail. Like,
wheel.
I'm like probably the only coach that doesn't set goals with their client.
Yeah.
I like intentions more than goals. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think when we set New Year's resolutions, we're setting ourselves up for failure. We're setting ourselves up for hits to our self-worth.
Right.
What I have done this year is I have set the intention of more creativity.
That
Why?
was mine last year. Yeah.
Interesting. Creativity. I was just in December at the Massachusetts Conference for Women,
Yeah.
and there was a little booth set up, and I want to give her a shout out, but I can't remember her name in this moment. But I am going to have her on as a guest.
Yep.
And she had this little painting booth set up, and you got this little 4x6 canvas. I wasn't going to do it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm here. I'm going to do it. Can I just tell you, when I took that paintbrush and I put that first blue swirl on the canvas, something opened up inside of me. I had a
Mm,
shift.
I love that.
I love that painting so much. I took a picture of it. It's on my vision board. I've posted it to social media, like all the things. And what I realized is I haven't felt alive because I haven't been nurturing my creativity.
I
I
love that.
felt so alive doing that 4x6 painting with primary colors.
That's beautiful. So the reason I chose creativity last year was because my story was I'm not creative. And I had to stop saying that because I'm a hairdresser, right? But I'm
Pretty
not
darn
creative
creative.
like you are. I'm not an artist. I'm not that creative. So I was comparing myself,
Yeah.
right? I also learned a little bit about my human design this year, and I'm a manifesting generator who responds. And that made so much sense to me. Like, if you give me a thing, I will get it done for you. But if I have a blank canvas, I get paralyzed.
Yep.
Thank you, Chat GPT has helped me. So, I'm like, I want to do a workshop on this. And it gives me, I mean, it gives me something to start with. Then I go in and put it my own, right? But I had to really learn to rephrase the I'm not creative because I am creating, because that was, I think, stifling me in my business because I wasn't creating clients. I wasn't creating, the things
Yep.
because this story and it got bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Right? People come into my house and they're like, "Oh, your house is cute." Like, I don't have a lot of things on the wall. Like, I'm not a designer, right? I'm not that, but I'm creative for me and my taste and style.
And look at your background. You're so creative. It's so
Right?
colorful. It's so organized. It's so the layout, it just flows energetically and it's beautiful. And so, we come to this earth to be creative beings. It's what we
Mhm.
do as humans. We innately are creators. And that can look like so many different things, whether it's how you cook, it's artistic abilities, it is truly how you put things together in your environment. It's your wardrobe. It
Right.
is your pairing of wine with food. It's all the things, right? We need to broaden our idea of what creativity is so that we all realize that we're creative beings.
Yeah. And it goes back to not comparing to what everyone else is doing.
That's right.
So owning my own level of creativity versus yours are two different things.
That's right. And
Yeah.
I don't think I'm a Picasso. I'm not going to be necessarily putting canvases up in art galleries, right?
Right.
That doesn't matter. The
No.
creativity is, it feeds your soul. So,
Right.
what do you do? And now I'm speaking to everyone who's listening. What do you do in your life that feeds your soul? And how can you do more of that and be more creative with it?
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Very don't need an answer right now. I just want everybody to sit with that question.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to actually, like, for me, what feeds my soul is connections to others.
Yeah.
When I was recovering from my knee surgery, this probably happened with hip, but like that was a year ago and it feels so long. I felt isolated. And that's when I had my darker days, right? Like because I need thrive off of connecting with others' energy. I
Yeah.
love my husband, but 24/7 I was like, can someone else show up here?
Yeah. I'm tired of me. I'm tired of him.
Right,
Need something
exactly.
new.
Yeah. So like that feeds my soul when I'm out and about with people. Even if my husband go and I go sit at a bar to have lunch or dinner and there's other people around.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, in the vein of feeding our souls, I feel like women of a certain age, which
Mhm.
we are, and everyone can interpret what a certain age means for
Sure.
themselves. We're looking for more joy. We're looking for more fulfillment. What mindset shifts or what practices do you recommend for women of a certain age to
Yeah.
reconnect with what really lights them up?
So I will tell you, this is what started my personal development journey. I actually have, I think it's on my website. I wrote a blog called I'm a Straight Woman Trying to Date Other Women. And in my 40s, so I will share, I'm going to be 60 in a little bit more than a month. So it's,
I still don't believe your energy is not
I
6.
know, I know. That's what I keep telling myself. But I was probably in my mid 40s and I looked around and I was like, where did all my girlfriends go?
Yeah.
And I found this women's group that was run by coaches. Well, I didn't know it at the time because 15 years ago, nobody even knew what a coach was. It was not the buzzword
Right.
it is today, right? So I found this group. They had these monthly meetings. They were called magic parties. And she had these monthly meetings, and each month it was a different topic. And like I went and I was like, I was like, I couldn't wait for the next meeting. And then she did 2 retreats a year. It was run by coaches. I learned what coaching was. I did all that, right? So in that journey, I met this woman and I talk about it in the article. I met this woman at one of the things and we had a lot in common. And how do you make friends? You have to be willing to be vulnerable. It's like dating. And I was a matchmaker and a date and relationship coach for a few years. So it's very similar, right? So for those in New England, there's a big holistic fair every November. And this was probably, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago. I wanted to go to it, and my husband was going to come with me, but he ended up getting mono, which most men in their 40s or 50s do not get mono, but he did. So I was like, now what do I do? So I reached out to this friend, and it was like, I mean, I could feel the anxiety, right? I remember like asking the question, hey, I'm going to the expo this week. Do you want to go? And then waiting for the response, right? But we so often don't nurture relationships. I had a friend recently, we were talking and I was sharing with her, I was like, I really reach out to this friend so much and she doesn't with me. And my friend said to me, she's like, that's really interesting that that bothers you. She's like, that doesn't bother me. And she went, oh, my top value is freedom, yours is connection. And I was like, yeah.
Mm,
But her mom passed away a few months ago, and she sent me a text and she was like, "Thank you for reaching out. I now know what you mean." Right?
wow.
Like, and I wasn't reaching out because I want it, but hey, how you do? Right? Like, but you have to be willing to put yourself out there. Cause I would say 90% of the time, I'm doing more of the putting myself out, like, hey,
Yeah.
want to get out? Like, I can be like a puppy. Hey, want to go out? Hey, want to go out? Right? But you have to be willing to be vulnerable to be in any relationship.
Yeah.
Ask the friend, the new person, if they want to get coffee, dinner, or drink, whatever it is. Vulnerability isn't about always getting what you want, but it's about asking for what you want.
I love that. And it's remembering that you are responsible for the relationship that you want with another
Right.
person, right? And so I had an experience recently, and that's why this really, brought this back up for me again, is I was like, you know what? I am the one who calls all the time. I'm not calling anymore unless she calls me. And then I sat with that and I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? No, exactly. And I'm like, no, I'm responsible for the relationship that I want. So if I want a relationship where we talk all the time, then I'm responsible for my side of that. And I will do the calling. And for her, it might be enough to only talk every once in a while. Maybe her schedule only allows for it. Maybe her energetic battery only allows for it.
Yeah. What I would say to you, I will share my own experience with that as well, is I also want reciprocal relationships. That doesn't mean
Yeah.
for every one to one. And I had two situations probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I had these two friends that like I always reach out, but there was some reciprocality and then they would just disappear. So I had to have really hard conversations with both of them and be like, this doesn't work. Like I would have called them both my best friends, right? In different groups.
Yeah.
This doesn't work. You have this great thing going on in your life, but and now I'm not a part of it, but I was there when the really bad thing was happening. She's like, I
Yeah.
know, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, just so you understand, like, I want a reciprocal relationship. And the
Yeah.
same with the other friend. And then it happened again, I would say in the 2 years ago, I think it's been about 2 years now, that they both fell off. And I had to make a decision this time. And I don't know that it was a conscious decision because there's still a grieving with both
Yeah.
relationship, one more than the other, but with both relationships that, one friend said to me, well, she could be busy. I'm like, she found a new hairdresser. And they were like, oh, I'm like, so something happened, but
Yeah.
I had to make a decision. Like, do I want to reach out? Well, why do I want that relationship?
That's right.
Right? Like, why do I want a relationship that A, she couldn't have, if something had happened or I had upset her or whatever, that she couldn't have said it to me? Because I did say it to, like, I did it once and I wasn't going, I was clear. And like, that was the hard, that was hard. That was the
Yeah.
vulnerability is a four-letter word to me, but I do it because in order to be in a relationship, you have to. So with those
That's
relationships, I was like, and she, because I post on, so we're still friends on social, one of them. And she sent me a text when I had my knee done. And I went, what do I do here? And I was still medicated. So I didn't respond, right? I had to sit with it. And I still never responded because I'm like, this isn't the relationship. We were sisters, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
just, right? So I don't want phony relationships. I want deep, meaningful relationships where we can have hard conversations too.
Yeah. And the reality is, maybe you didn't do anything.
Right.
Maybe, and most likely it has nothing to do with you.
I
It's a
100%.
shift
Yep.
in their world, right? And
I
some
think it's a shift in my world too, and our
mm,
worlds just aren't in alignment anymore,
agreed.
but it can
Yeah.
still hurt.
It still hurts. There's still a grieving. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've covered so many things today, and I literally want to keep on talking, but I also
Right?
want to be respectful of your time. So I love to ask guests, do you have anything that you would like to offer listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. They can go to my website and I help in this vein of helping women overcome busyness. They then get to make a big ass up level. So there's a freebie on my website that they can go get, and I'm sure put that all in the show notes. That will let them know if they're ready for their big ass up level. And then I do have a program that's going to be launching in the spring. It's called Breaking the Cycle, a 6-week reset for your business. So it's going to integrate EFT coaching and energetic codes. And the codes help release energetic imprints of
Mm.
like judgment, worthiness, money stuff, all that stuff. So it helps release those. So that they can email me because that is not up yet. And they can go on the wait list for that. So we'll put all that in the show notes.
Yep, that's perfect. I have your website for the free download in show notes. Your email is in show notes. I just am going to have you back so we can talk about codes and EFT and all of that.
Yes.
But
Yes,
thank you
absolutely.
so much for being here. Every conversation I have with you truly brings me more joy. Uh,
Aim.
and let's definitely connect again about talking about EFT and the codes and all of those things.
Absolutely. I would love that.
Any reason to connect with you is a
Yes.
great reason.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
I hope you found part two of my conversation with Francine to be just as heart centered and inspiring as part one. Don't be surprised if you see more of her here at Women Finding Clarity in the months to come. As always, thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending time with me. And remember, life doesn't come with a roadmap, so let Women Finding Clarity be your compass, where clarity, confidence, and joy are always within reach. Good night.